Hello, everyone. This is Don Crafton, co-founder of SightReadingFactory.com, and here with me is Adam Raboon.
Hello.
Who also co-founded SightReadingFactory.com. So we're getting ready to get started here, and before we do that, I just wanted to go over a couple quick housekeeping issues. Just so you know, throughout this, the main presentation of the webinar, your microphones will be muted. If you have and that's just to sort of prevent background noise. If you have a question, feel free to, you should see a little questions box on the right side of your screen, or if you're on a mobile device, you should see a question mark. If you push that, you can type in your question, and Adam's going to be busily answering all your questions along the way. And I'm just going to kind of keep plowing through with the presentation. If he finds something pressing that I should probably address to everyone, I'll do so. So let's see here. So yeah, this webinar is going to be kind of divided into two different parts. The first part is going to be kind of geared towards anyone who would use Sight Reading Factory. And the second part is kind of be geared towards specifically music educators, focusing on the ensemble portion and the assignments, classroom organization, and using Sight Reading Factory as an assessment tool. So Sight Reading Factory was really founded to make practicing and teaching sight reading easier. That was really the main reason. I was a band director, and at the time I was teaching, I found it very hard to sight read with my students. Having to collect music, pass it out. It was very time consuming using sight reading method books. What do you do after you've read them? They're not sight reading anymore. As all of you know, when you sight read something, it's when you read music for the very first time that you've never seen before. So you can only do that once. After you've read that music, it's not sight reading anymore. You're then practicing it. So if you want to practice sight reading, you have to have massive amounts of music. And most times that's impractical, especially for students. They just don't have lots of music lying around. So essentially, we created a site. What Sight Reading Factory really does is it composes music. So you get to pick your instrument or voice type or ensemble. You pick a level, you pick a time signature, a key signature, and some other settings, and you generate some music. And within under a half a second, most times, it composes a brand new piece of music for you that you've never seen before. So and that's kind of Sight Reading Factory in a nutshell. Because it composes it instantly on demand for you, you're guaranteed to have essentially an endless stream of music. You'll never run out of sight reading. And again, you can customize that to your needs as well. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So the first thing I want to do here is I want to go ahead and just generate a piece for you to show you how easy it is to do. I'll do it kind of quickly, and then I'll go back and I'll talk through the steps. So right now I'm on the dashboard, which you've been looking at. You can either click the Start Sight Reading button here or the Sight Read link up here. Either one is fine. So once I click that, this brings us to our mixer. First thing we'll do is we'll pick an instrument. I'm a bass trombone player, so I'll pick that. Next thing is I'll pick a level. I'll pick a time signature. I'll pick a key signature. I'll hit Start Sight Reading, and there's some music. So that easily, I was able to generate some music for sight reading. Now, this music that you're seeing here, again, you saw how quickly it was composed. It was composed in between the time that I clicked that button, Start Sight Reading, and you saw the music come up. We don't have this piece of music stored somewhere in a database, and it calls it up, for you to read. It's composed brand new every single time. And then this button up here, this another one button, is probably the best feature of the site. You can just keep clicking this all day long. Every time I click that, I'll get another one. Excuse me. There's also a shortcut for that if you're not aware. You can hit N, and that will also generate another example. So I can just keep hitting another one, and you can see every single time I'm going to get a new piece of music, and it happens very quickly. So that's what our site does. It provides users with a virtually endless supply of music to sight read. While we're on this page, we'll go ahead and talk about a couple other things. You'll see up here in this corner, we have audio playback. This is synthesized audio playback that can be sped up and slowed down if necessary. So users can play along with it, sing along with it, or they can play through their exercise without it and then go back and listen to it. You, like I said, you challenge yourself and try to play it, really slow or faster. Also, you can see here on the screen, you can print all of the exercises. They are all able to be printed. This settings screen will take you back to the mixer, which we'll do in just a second, and clicking another one will generate another exercise. So let's go back to the settings screen and we'll just talk about each step here. So the first thing, again, you have many different instruments and voice types that you can choose from. Piano, solo voice and vocal ensemble, guitar, various orchestral strings, many different woodwind types, brass, percussion, snare drum and mallets, on different ensembles, and rhythm-only sight reading. So we'll pick a different instrument this time. Let's pick an oboe. Okay. Now on the second screen, what we have here is you get to pick your level. And we have stock levels where all the various attributes of each level are sort of hard-coded in there. They can't be adjusted. So you can see in level 1 for oboe, I'm going to select level 1 and then come back so I can scroll. This is the range that we do for level 1 oboe. These are the rhythms that are allowed here. These are the rests. There will be no rest for this level. And these are the leaps that are allowed. And you'll notice there will be no dynamics, accidentals, articulations, or ties. As I scroll over the levels, you'll see that all those attributes change. So it kind of shows you what's available for each level. So now, once I pick a level I want, we'll say level 3 this time, the next thing that we would see is your time signature. And each level has a certain number, and each instrument as well has a certain number of time signatures that are available to it. For oboe level 3, we see we have 4 time signatures available: 4/4, 3/4, 2/4, 6/8. One thing that we do have planned is to allow more time signatures at all levels. That's hopefully coming in the next few months. Also on this tab here, you'll see that we can do a random time signature. And what that means is that when I hit another one or generate music, it would just randomly pick between these. So I'll do random this time. After you pick your time signature, you would pick your key signature. Here we suggest key signatures for each level. So for level 3 here, I'm suggesting C, F, B flat, and E flat for oboe. But you can also sight read using any of these other key signatures. So if you wanted to sight read in A flat minor, you can do so. You could do random suggested, which would do either any of those 4, or you could do any random key signature. Let's just do any random key signature actually. Now once we're on this tab, this is the final tab that we get to before we generate the sight reading. We have a few choices that we can make. We can select how long we want the sight reading to be. So I'll pick 12 measures this time. For oboe, we have the option to do note names. For some of the other instrument selections, or voice rather, for voice, you have the option to do note names or even solfege. I'll talk about that in just a minute. Piano can show the fingerings or note names. So we won't show the note names right now. We all know how to read notes. So now we have 2 choices. We can do regular practice mode or timed practice mode. Last time I did regular practice mode. And as it says there, it basically just generates an exercise quickly, and you can immediately start playing it, and you can generate more exercises quickly, and you can listen to it right away. I'll talk a little bit about timed practice mode right now. With the timed practice mode, these features, especially the countdown timer, lend itself more to sort of audition type situations. So you can select different lengths of the countdown timer. Currently we have 5, 30 seconds, 60, and 90 seconds. And again, we have an update coming out soon, which will be a free-form timer where you can basically put in however long you want. You could do 1 second if you want. You could do 343 seconds if you wanted to. So I'm going to leave it at 5 seconds so we don't have to wait too long through the countdown. Now, with the time practice mode, there's other features that you can optionally turn on. There is the metronome track, which would just be, as it says, it would be a little metronome track that accompanies to help the student feel the time through the exercise. A disappearing measures feature, which has the measure that the student just played or the user just played disappear after they've played it. So for example, once you've gotten to the second measure, the first measure would disappear. This is to encourage users to keep playing, not look back if they make a mistake, to keep going. And then a cursor, which is bouncing ball type feature. And of course, you can set the tempo here. We'll leave it at 100 for now. So once I hit start here, again, it's going to generate a sight reading exercise. You'll see a countdown timer, and then there'll be a click off. You'll see visual click offs, and then the user is supposed to start playing. So I'm generating some music. Here we see a 5-second countdown, and then we'll have the click off. You may or may not hear the click off. And you can see the measures are disappearing as the user is supposed to play. Okay, so we'll go back to the dashboard. We're not going to wade through all that. So that gives you an idea of the time practice features. And actually, that looks a lot like what an assignment would take that a student, a student will take for assignments. And again, we'll talk about that later in the educator portion. So briefly, I want to talk about some of the other options here for instruments. If you see over here, the rhythm only, obviously not really an instrument, but we did want to include that right here. So this allows you to generate rhythm only music. So we'll look at level 4 this time. We'll do another random time signature, and we'll just generate some music here. And so you basically get a single line staff with rhythms only. And again, I can go up here and do another one, and I will get different rhythms all day long. And again, I'll talk in a little bit about the customization feature so that you can customize the exact rhythms that you want to include, or if we're talking about pitched instruments, even the range. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. I did want to show you voice real quick for any vocalists out there. I know I talked about the ability to do solfege, and again, that's on the last screen here before you generate the music. You see the annotations options. We have 3 different solfege systems that you can choose from, or you can do note names. So for example, movable do and do bass minor, and it will show the solfege below the notes and put the dynamics above the notes. Okay. Up here, you'll also notice that vocalists have the option to hear the opening pitch. There's different options they can choose: opening pitch, the tonic, or a tonic triad. And by selecting those, I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear these. The user can choose which, if they don't have a piano handy, we can play those notes for them. Okay, so that shows you a little bit about the vocal options there. Let's see here. Okay, I think we're ready to move on and start talking about the customization feature, which I think is a very, very powerful feature. We'll move on and give our string section a little bit of love here. And we'll pick the viola this time. Now, once we get to the level tab, we have, again, we can pick one of our 6 levels, but we're not. We're going to choose custom this time. So we're going to create our own level. Okay, so I'm going to click custom. And the first thing we see here is the option to customize our rhythms. Okay, so what I get to do is I get to pick the exact rhythms that I want to include in the sight reading. So if a rhythm is not picked, it will not be included. So for example, if I just pick a whole note, then I will get sight reading that has only whole notes. Okay, I won't have half notes or anything else. If I pick a whole note and a quarter note, then I'll only have whole notes and quarter notes, and you can imagine what that would be. We'd have measures of whole notes and then measures of 4 quarter notes. So again, only the rhythms that you pick will be included in the sight reading. So for example, if I wanted the dotted quarter note and 8th note rhythm, I would definitely get that rhythm, but I would also get 8th note pairs. So keep that in mind. Now, after you've picked the rhythms that you want, we'll throw in a quarter rest there as well. Let's throw in a half note too for fun. After you've picked the rhythms that you like, then you get to select the rhythm difficulty. And we needed this because if you can imagine, for example, let's say I taught beginning band is what I taught. So when you first introduce 8th notes, obviously you don't want a lot of 8th notes for your beginners because they're not going to be able to do all those fast notes. So we had to create this rhythm difficulty because, for example, if you just pick these rhythms and 8th notes, it could theoretically just compose lots and lots of 8th notes. So we wanted you to be able to control, how many difficult rhythms or fast rhythms could be in the exercise. So you do have to select a rhythm difficulty here. So for example, if I select easy, we're only going to get 1 8th note pair per measure. If I select medium, we'll get 2. If I select hard, we could have a full measure of 8th notes. notes. So I'll just select easy for now. Now the next thing we get to pick here is our syncopated rhythms. And again, if you can imagine, if we didn't have this choice of syncopated rhythms, and we have quarter note and eighth note, well, then what we can get is we can get that syncopated eighth quarter eighth rhythm, the da 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 da. We could get that rhythm, and maybe we don't want that yet for our beginners. We only want quarter eighth eighth, something like that. So if I check this, we'll get that eighth quarter eighth rhythm. If I don't check it, then we won't get that. And that applies for lots of other syncopated rhythms in the music. Then you can obviously turn on ties, staccatos, slurs, accents. Since I'm kind of in beginner mode right now, I don't want any of those, so we won't do those yet. Now, on the next tab, what we get is our ability to customize the pitches. What you'll see up here, on the last tab, on the Rhythms tab, you'll see that we don't have any way to customize the pitches. But on the Pitches tab, we now can move up and down here. You can see I can move up and down, and I can change the pitch range for your instrument. So if I want to work on the low strings for the viola, I just kind of bring that down there, and we'll bring this down here. And that way I can kind of work on the low strings there. If I need to add a flat or a sharp, I can do so, or if I need to get rid of it, I can do that. So, I've made my strings a little bit lower here for viola if I want to do that. And then after you've selected your range, what you can do is then you can select your leap size. So, we could have anything up to an octave, so seconds to an octave. Just keep in mind that whatever you choose here, you could have any of that. So you could have fourths, you could have fifths. I selected no greater than fifths, so it could be fourths, fifths, thirds, and steps, obviously. For vocalists, I'll talk about in a section, they have a very neat option to customize the exact leaps that they want to measure. That's a really, really neat feature, which I'll talk about in just a minute. Also dealing with pitches, you can choose to turn on accidentals or dynamics as well. I'll leave those off for now because my beginning violist can't handle that just yet. And we'll stick with, well, let's go with Happy 4/4, and we'll leave C major here. And let's go with G major. Violists like G major. So G major, and then we'll generate our music. Now what you'll see here is that I have generated some music that is customized exactly to what I wanted. I kind of wanted to work on that dotted quarter note, eighth note rhythm, and there it is. All the other rhythms I had there, you'll notice that the music is confined to the range that I selected. Remember, I picked rhythm difficulty easy, so we're only seeing one eighth note pair per measure. And I can just keep generating music based on my customized options there. And just to show you how the rhythm difficulty works, I'll go back and I'll change it to medium. And we'll generate some music, and we should start seeing more eighth notes. There we go. So now we're seeing two pair in a measure there. And then we'll go back and we'll add syncopation to it. My students can now handle syncopation. So there we go. Now we see eighth, quarter, eighth. And then we see this rhythm here. There's a nice syncopated rhythm for you. So so you can see as you can customize this music exactly to what you want. I think it's a great way, especially for folks who teach beginners, to use Sight Reading Factory to supplement whatever method book that you may be using. So, for example, I used Standard of Excellence. So, you start with whole notes. So you can start sight reading right away with whole notes. You could limit the range to 3 notes and whole notes, and then as they learn the half notes, throw those in. You learn the fourth note up, throw that in. So you can have this move right along with your students and have them sight reading right away, so they get used to sight reading. It's not just a scary thing to do later on. Okay, so now let's go back and take a listen to, take a look at voice, customizing voice here. We'll leave, so I want to pick, it is on custom, great. All right, so let's pick some rhythms here for our vocalist. We'll do half notes and quarter notes. We'll go real simple here, and we'll throw a rest in there. Easy, not that that really matters right now. Take off syncopated. Okay. The main thing I want to show you with voice is the pitches tab. This is where it gets really interesting. Again, we can customize the range for voice. So we'll go, we'll think in C major here. Let's change this to C major. And we'll think in do to la. Actually, let's do T. T to La. And what we can do now is customize the leaps that we want in the music. So right now, again, from viola, I had it set so it's no greater than a fifth. But maybe my young singers can't handle all those leaps. You know, they can't handle re to fa and fa to re yet. You know, maybe they can only handle mi to sol, right? That's all they can handle right now for sight reading. So we want to focus on that. So what we can do is we can come over here and we can do custom leaps, okay? And with the custom leaps, what we do is we select our from note and our to note. And you'll notice that it says scale degree. And the reason we do this, we don't use solfege for this because folks have different solfege systems they use. Someone that may be using movable do, you know, may be thinking of something different than from fixed do. Because you may have different key signatures in mind when you're doing this. So we use scale degrees because that's universal. So we'll say sol to mi is scale degree 5 to scale degree 3. And we do have to select whether it's ascending or descending, because if you can imagine, you can go from scale degree 5 to 3 ascending, which would be a sixth. So we will pick descending is what we want, and we'll add that leap in there. And one other option that the vocalists get here is the option to start on root. So we'll select that. So they start on root. And we have 4/4 in C major. That looks good. And we'll throw some solfege in there. We'll do La bass minor this time. And we'll generate our music. And there we have it. So here's our music that we chose. Again, notice that the range, we're going to have, there's do. Does it go up to La? We don't hit La in this one, but it doesn't go above it or below. It doesn't go below T either. Notice that here is our 5 to 3 descending leap. Again, 5 to 3. Everything else is stepwise. You will not see any other steps in there. Okay, there he goes down to low T there. Goes up to La, 5 to 3 again, 5 to 3. So again, a very powerful way for vocalists to customize the leaps exactly to their needs. And again, as they learn more leaps, you know, we can now do do to sol ascending. We can handle that leap now, and we can handle mi to do descending. So we'll add that in there, and we'll hit. We can do some more rhythms too. They can do 8 notes now. So hit start. And there we go. There's do to sol. We see that. There's mi to do at the end. So again, as your students are learning, it can the site can progress with them. If we have any guitarists out there, again, we do have guitar sight reading. I just wanted to point that out. Again, you can customize it exactly to what you want. I did want to mention that we are currently working on chordal sight reading. Our guitar music right now is, I'll generate some, we'll do some level 5 sight reading here for guitar. I did want to point out, you'll notice that it is single line guitar music right now. We've had many, many requests for chordal guitar sight reading, both written out chords and like jazz charts, basically, you know, slashes in the measures with chords above. That's what we're working on right now, that rhythm slash notation for guitar. Hoping that will be out in the next few months. It's going to be a pretty neat feature, so guitarists can stay tuned for that. Great. Now I would like to go ahead and move on to the portion that sort of focuses on educators. So I'm going to get into ensemble sight reading, and then I want to get into the assignments and assessment feature for music educators. So again, if there's any folks that have any questions that's not an educator, didn't want to stick around, that's fine. You can also, like I said, write Adam if you have any questions. Okay, so we're going to move on and talk about our ensembles now. We'll talk about, we'll start with band. How about that? So you'll find that again on your instrument list here under ensembles, and we'll click concert band. And again, with concert band, we have the option to select any level that you want here. We'll do level 1 this time. We'll do a random suggested key signature, and we'll hit start sight reading. Now, what you'll notice is that we have a full score of band music, and we have all the parts already transposed for you. So the top liners are C treble parts, flutes, oboes, mallets, things like that, B flat part, trumpet, clarinet, tenor sax-ish. Let's see here, E flat, F parts, C bass parts, and the snare parts. So you can, you have several different options here if you have a large enough screen in your room and your band isn't too large, you can show this, to your band on that screen, and you can all sight read together. I think that's probably the most efficient way to do it. If you can imagine, you have a sight reading example up on the screen. Students walk in, you do your warm up, then you can quickly and easily do some sight reading with them. Just spend 5 minutes. You don't have to pass out any music or collect it. Have it up on the screen ready to go. Another option is you can print it out if you prefer. So you see we have a print option, and you can print the parts or you can print the score, however you want to do that for your students. So this is what the full band version looks like, and we'll talk about, actually let's go ahead and talk about customizing this first before I move on. So with band, the unique thing, again, I'll just pick some rhythms here. There we go. Okay, let's throw some eighth rest in there. We'll make this hard. There we go. Okay, so with band, what you'll notice here on the pitches screen is that you get to customize the pitches here as well. You have this kind of master controller up here, which controls all of the other music. One thing that you may have noticed about the band music, which you'll see again in a second, is that it was all in unison. And that's because when I first came up with the idea for the site, that's the way I wanted to use it with my students. I wanted everyone to sight read in unison. I just thought it was easier to kind of pinpoint who was making mistakes and could really focus on them and help them out. We've had a lot of requests, especially early on from the vocalists, for multiple part sight reading for band and orchestra and chorus. We took care of the chorus folks, I guess that was a year and a half ago now. And band and orchestra, I've been working on the algorithm for that over the summer. It's pretty close. I'd love to get that out in the next few months, so the band and orchestra folks have the option for multiple part or unison. Okay, so for the band folks, what we're going to be doing here is, you can see as I move this around, all of the parts will move along with it in unison. So you can kind of adjust it for your band how you need to for the pitches. And again, the reason why this has to move together is because the music is composed in unison. So all of the ranges have to be in unison. We can't have some instruments that are in a different range, because they all have to move in exactly the same range. So this is how you can adjust the range for concert band. And let's do A flat major and see what's going to happen here. Wow, there's some hard music. Okay, so there's some music for your advanced band, right? Okay, so let's go on and talk about orchestra now. Orchestra, you have two different options. If you teach full orchestra, it will look a lot like the concert band. So we'll go ahead and pick some of those rhythms again. All right, there we go. And okay, so for orchestra, this will look just like the concert band. The only difference now is that instead of the E flat instruments are saxophones, we're going to have violas in there, because most full orchestras don't have the saxophones. So we have viola instead of E flat, and when we generate the music, there it replaces it right there. So there's your viola. So C treble, again, this will add violins, and then C bass, obviously cello and bass can read down here. Now let's look specifically at the string orchestra. String orchestra has a few extra options in terms of customization for pitches, which we'll talk about here. And I'll pick my rhythms here. So with string orchestra, again, we can, it's composed in unison, so the ranges have to stay in unison. But let's say, for example, that I want to do some sight reading. I want to work on a high register with my violins, okay? So we want to work on maybe, the A string up to high A or something like that. And you'll notice down here that our cello and bass gets kind of crazy high, a little bit higher than we want, okay? So what we have is the option. We have a button here that says use lower octave for viola and cello bass. So I can click this button right here, and you'll see that viola, cello, and bass drop down into a more manageable range. And just to let you know, for any string teachers out there, we have had requests to be able to separate cello and bass, which we do have plans for, and also have this octave controller for viola, cello, and bass all separately as well. So again, we do have plans for that. That is in the plan. But I just wanted to show you that is the reason for this. And then, if we wanted to work on the low strings for violin, so let's say we wanted to work on the low G string for violin down here, then we see that viola and cello bass are too low. So we'll just uncheck that, and that brings them back into a good range there. Okay, so that's what this looks like for string orchestra. Now let's go on and talk about, well, I guess I should probably generate some of that music. E minor this time. So there's what it looks like, three staves for string orchestra. And again, we will eventually have these separated here. Okay, now let's talk about our vocal choices for ensemble. We'll talk about unison first. If you have men and women in your choir, and maybe they can't handle sight reading in parts just yet, you could do unison sight reading. And basically what you're going to get is just two staves, treble clef staff, and a bass clef staff. That's what you'll get with, and again, you can customize the unison choir just like you can for solo voice. So if you wanted to limit the leaps, specific leaps and things like that, you can do so, or you could set an overall leap. And again, you have the option, since we're doing a voice instrument, we have the option for our opening pitches. Now, the really neat option for a voice here is our multiple part voice. So we can either get there by going to voice, choir, multiple part, or under ensemble. Now, what vocal folks get to do here is choose the type of vocal ensemble you want to do. So you can basically choose up to 4 voices. You have to choose at least 2 voices, up to 4 voices. You just can't select, excuse me, you just can't select more than 2 of the same voice. So for example, I can do SSAA if I wanted to, or I could do SSTB, or if I had a really good gentleman's choir, I could do TTBB. I just can't do more three of the same voice type. So we'll do a traditional SATB option here, and we'll hit next. Now, what I want you to notice here is that the levels, you'll notice that level 1 and 2 are disabled right now, and we have levels 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, for multiple part choir, the reason that is because we have, you'll see in just a minute when I generate the music, they're like little miniature chorales. There are part writing and voice leading rules that govern how the music is going to be generated. They sound really nice, but there's lots of rules behind it so that it does sound nice, and the parts move nicely with voice leading and all that. For levels 1 and 2, the rhythms move homophonically, and also the ranges are very limited. So because of that, we worry that the rules would basically tie themselves up and it wouldn't be able to generate music. So right now, that's why levels 1 and 2 are disabled for 3 to 4 parts. If I were to do 2 parts, which I'll show you in a minute, we can get level 1 and 2, and I'll show you what some of that looks like. Let's say you have a little bit more of an advanced choir, and we can do some level 5 sight reading. We'll pick D major, and we could put the solfege on if we want. We'll leave it off for now, and then we'll hit start here. And then here is a multiple part choir piece. I'm not sure if you can hear this or not. I wish you could, because it's going to be a nice little chorale. There's music playing right now. Not sure if you can hear that or not, but it's a really nice little chorale. Again, these are composed instantly. I've never seen this chorale before. No one has ever seen this chorale before. And again, it's composed instantly as soon as I hit the start sight reading button, and I can just keep getting little chorales for my choir all day long, and they'll be different every single time. Now, I did want to go back and to show you the 2-part. Let's see if we had, we'll do a tenor, treble clef, and a bass. So this would be 2-part here. Whoops. We'll do level 1. So what you'll notice here is that, again, we're going to move in rhythmic unison. Okay, you'll notice the rhythmics are, excuse me, the rhythms are very simple, but it is different notes. They'll sort of, and it'll be for level 1. It's in steps. That's another reason why trying to do 3 and 4 parts where everyone's moving in steps in a very limited range is tough to do. But we do have plans for that, by the way. You'll notice we have plans for a lot of things. But we're going to get to them. So yes, we do have plans to allow for 3 and 4 part at levels 1 and 2. So you'll notice that occasionally the parts split and we go into multiple parts. And if we go to level 2 here, what you'll see is that the rhythms get a little bit harder, the range gets a little bit wider, but it's still rhythmically homophonic, and but it does go into separate parts there. So that's what level 1 and 2 look like for your students if you're interested in that. Okay, let's see here. Oh, I did want to mention that multiple part choir music is not yet customizable. Okay, so you'll notice if I go back to this level tab, I'm doing choir multiple part. You'll notice that there's no custom button. And again, that is something we have had requests for. People would like to limit or adjust the ranges. Maybe your middle school boys can't sing as low as we have coded in there as the range, or whatever. For whatever reason you want to change, adjust the rhythms or the range. That's not yet available yet. We are looking at a way to do that. As a matter of fact, I think with the work that I've done and trying to figure out how to do the multiple part for band and orchestra, I think that's going to be customizable, and I think we can kind of use some of that for choir. So again, that is coming down the road as well. Great. So we talked about the various ensembles that are available. All right, let's move on and talk about let me back out of here, our student account features now. I don't know how many of you are using student accounts, our student accounts, but it is a great way to give your students access to unlimited sight reading on their own. Again, we require, as teachers, we have our students audition for various things, honor ensemble, state, district, what have you. And on most of those auditions, they have to sight read. And most students don't have a way to practice sight reading. They don't have music at home. They just don't have that capability. So our site really gives them a way, but most students definitely have tablets and smartphones. So on their tablet or smartphone, they have access to unlimited amounts of sight reading material so they can really prepare for those auditions. So student accounts are sold at a highly discounted rate, excuse me, as low as $2 an account, depending on how many that you get. On our pricing page here, actually, I'll show you. If you're interested in getting student accounts, right here, there's a calculate button, and you can put in various amounts. So you'll see it at 100, whoops, not 1,000. At 100, that's 200. For 50, it's $3.42 each. So on and so forth. So if you're interested in getting accounts for your students, you can use our pricing calculator there to sort of figure that out. But we definitely try to keep it very reasonably priced so that it fits into your budget. Okay. So once you get student accounts, what you're really getting is you would get a student code. It's what's called a student code. So let's say, for example, you had 100 students, and so that would be $200. So you bought 100 student accounts. So again, what you would get is a code. It's a six-digit code, letters and numbers. So for example, ABC123 would be the code. And that code would have 100 uses, and you would give that code to your students, and they would go to our website, SightReadingFactory.com. We have a special URL for them, SightReadingFactory.com/students. And when they go there, they would enter their code information. And then you can actually see who all has redeemed your code. So this is something we just added recently. We've put some of this information on the dashboard here for you, so it's a little easier to access. But if you have student codes, your dashboard will look like this right here. And if you click View by the student code that you have, you can see who all has redeemed your code. So right here is everyone that has redeemed my code. You'll see I can come over here and I can revoke the code usage. Let's say that someone accidentally signed up twice, and I needed to be sure I had all my codes. So I could revoke one of their usages, or if they told a friend and their friend signed up, I could revoke a usage. So once your students redeem a code, basically your code just kind of ticks down. So you have 100, and then you have 99, then 98, so on and so forth. And after you've used it all up, you'd have to buy a new student code. Basically, every time a student signs up for a subscription on our site, that's one use of the code. And that gives your students a 1-year subscription to Sight Reading Factory. That's the way it works. And their accounts are linked to your accounts, and you can kind of monitor how they use the site. You can create assignments for them. Let me go back to the dashboard here. And you can also view reports on how they use their accounts. So one of the neat features is the reports feature over here. So we can click on this reports feature, and I can see how my students have been using the accounts here. So here's a list of all my students and how many exercises that they've generated. And then I can also, I can sort this by various different ways. I can sort this by my classes. I only have one class, or the different student codes that I've used. And then I can also view reports. This would be a class report here, but I can view reports on the key signatures that they've used, and the time signatures that they've used, so on and so forth. I can pick an individual student. Let me get back to the main class report here. So, for example, this is my son here. So I can select him, and I can see how many. I can see exactly what he's done. All right, and then I can come over here and I can see different sessions that he's done. So I could, for example, create a real basic assignment. I can say, okay, everyone go home this week and sight read 20 exercises, and then I can come up here and I can use this date picker, and I can say, okay, let's see, did he do his 20 exercises last week? And I can filter by that, and then I'll say, oh no, he didn't, because he hasn't done any sight reading over the summer. So then I could grade him based on that. But you could also, sorry, I'm just going to get rid of this filter here. We'll go way back when I know he did some sight reading. There we go. So if you did do that, let's say he did that, and we saw that he had 17, he did 17 that week. But then how do you know if they really, just didn't go in there and click another one 17 times, right? Well, I can see here with this session report, how long they spent on the site each time. And again, that doesn't tell you they were necessarily sight reading, but it is a nice way just to kind of keep track that your students are using the site. Now, let's talk about real assignments, okay? So how you can really create an assignment for your students, and they complete that assignment by recording themselves and submitting it back to you for grade and comments. So once your students sign up, again, you'll see them all over here on this tab right here, the Students tab. And I'll talk about various things you can see with them in terms of seeing reports on individual students and how you can manage their account. But let me go ahead and talk about how you would even create a class. So, for example, I can go to my Classes tab here, and I'm going to start a new class. I've got all my students that signed up. So this will be called, we'll call it Concert Band. All right, I could give a class description if I want. It's third period. Whoops, that's not how you spell period. There we go, third period. And we'll save that. And now what I get to do here is I get to click on the students that I want to enroll in the class. So I can click on a few students here, and that will enroll them in the class. Okay. Another option, as it says here, the students can enroll themselves. So if you've already set a class up, as your students redeem their account, they can see classes that you've already set up, and they can just enroll themselves. So if you have a lot of students in your classes, and you just want to tell your students to enroll themselves in the appropriate course, they can do that. But I just enrolled them into my little concert band here, and I'll hit save. So now I have a class, a small class, and I can hit, I want to create an assignment for my class now that I want them to take. So I'll hit add new, and I can give the assignment a title. This will be week 1 sight reading. Okay, there we are. Now, the student instructions. This can be pretty much any instructions you want to give to the students as they're launching their assignment. So, and there's lots of different options here. Before I talk about what you can write in here, I want to show you something else about the configuration. This is a fairly new feature that was implemented, I believe, just at the end of last school year, back in April or May. So you can actually configure the assignment for your student if you would like. So, and you can choose to do that or configure parts of it and not other parts, which we'll talk about here. So for example, I could say I want all my students to do level 2. I want them all to do A flat major. and I want them all to do 3-4. Okay, so when the student launches the assignment, they would then all they would have to pick is their instrument, and then they hit launch assignment, and everything else is configured for them. So this is great for younger students who you may not trust to know what level to pick and what a key signature or time signature even is. So you can pre-select it for them. And if you did that, you can just come up here and you can just say, select your instrument and click launch sight reading. And then it'll launch the exercise for them. Or let's say you say, okay, I definitely want them to do level 2. I definitely want them to do 3-4, but I don't really care what key signature they choose. So I'm going to let them choose that. So then my instructions might be something like select your instrument and any key signature and click launch sight reading. So again, the instructions can be as detailed as you want, or you can kind of pre-configure it for them. Now I do want to point out, and we're definitely thinking of a way to make this happen, but I do want to point out that you cannot pre-configure a custom setting yet. So for example, if you wanted to go through, and pick the exact rhythms you wanted and the range and the leaps and all that, and then have that already pre-configured for your students, that is not yet available yet. We are thinking of ways to implement that so that it's not too complicated on your end of things and doing that. But I did want to let you know that that option is out there, or that is out there. You can't do that yet, but we hope to have that as well before the end of the school year. Okay, so now let's talk about, I have my instructions up there. Now let's talk about the attempts. I can allow unlimited attempts, or I can limit the attempts. I could say no more than 5 attempts. But let me explain what that means. Basically, your students, when they take the assignment, it launches it. There's a countdown timer, as you saw earlier. Then it records them. Once they get to the end of the session, there's a little bar that pops up, and they can listen to themselves. Or they can hit submit assignment, or they can try again, or they can exit out. Let's say that when they started their assignment, a dog came in yipping and yapping and barking up a storm, and it kind of ruined their attempt there. So they're like, oh, I can't submit that to my teacher. I got to try again. So they can hit the try again button. And what that does is that actually generates a new sight reading exercise for them. That doesn't let them try the exact same one again. So so it's not like they get to practice the same one and get really good at it and then submit it to you. So if they try again, it generates a new exercise. And personally, I don't mind that because that means they're actually practicing, which is fine in my book. So again, you can limit it if you want, or you can do allow unlimited attempts. Then you'll set your due date, the time that we want it. We've already done the configuration. You can set the measure count, the tempo that the student will have to take the assignment. We're going to make it go kind of fast, actually, so that we don't have to wait too long while it's taking the assignment. Again, countdown timer, this will be freeform soon, so you can pick the exact length that you want. You can say if you want there to be a metronome track, disappearing measures, or no cursor. We're not going to do any of that. We'll leave the metronome track on. And if you want any annotations, so we'll do fixed do this time, and then we'll hit save. So now we have our assignment created, ready for our students. So this assignment would show up for any of your students, again, that have redeemed your code and that are in this class. So anyone that I've enrolled in my concert band class, these students right here would see this assignment when they logged in to their dashboard. And there's a launch button on their dashboard, and it opens it up. And I'll show you here, as an educator, this button right here, this try it button, allows you to, as it says, to try the assignment from the student's perspective. And I'll talk about a couple other things on this screen that's new, actually, especially for folks who had student accounts last year. So we'll hit the try it button, and we'll see what the student has to do here. So the first thing they have to do, and it skipped one thing here because we've already remembered to allow Flash, but your students will first have to, if they've never used the site before, will first have to allow Flash. And then once they've done that, they'll see this, and it's a microphone check. They'll hit the record button, which I'll do right now, and it will take a short recording of them where they'll play or sing, and then the student can listen back to it and see how the microphone level is. If it's not good, if it's too soft or too loud, they'll need to adjust, and that's sort of a judgment call on their part. They'll need to adjust the level on their own device, and we give instructions for each operating system. There'll be a video. I'm on a Mac right now, so this would show me how to adjust the microphone level on a Mac. Windows machines, it'll show you how to do that. The reason we can't do that ourselves is because we're using Flash through the browser. We can't go in and grab the microphone and adjust it ourselves. It's not a native application on the computer. Okay, so we will hit the sounds good because it sounded good. I don't need to adjust my microphone there. And then we'll pick our instrument. I'm a vocalist. I'm going to have to pick vocalist because I wanted to do solfege. And that's right, I get to select my instrument and key signature, and then I click Launch Sight Reading. So I'll pick, you know what, I want to do F sharp minor. And then I'll hit Launch Assignment. And then it'll generate my music here. Here's our countdown timer that we saw before with the timed practice session. And then we'll see the click off, which will tell the student that we have 3 beats, and then it'll go through and play it. And this is going to be, I did a 300 tempo, so it's going to go through pretty fast. Your student will see other things like it's unlimited, temps remaining, and things like that. So here we are, we're getting ready to start. Also, vocalists will have the option to do the tonic. You can do the opening pitch or tonic. So here we are, we're flying through the exercise right now. Fastest sight reading exercise ever. And then after it's done, we'll see the bar pop up at the bottom. Now, the student can choose to listen to this exercise. They can listen to their performance of it and sort of say, okay, yeah, I think that was good. I can submit it to my teacher. Or if it wasn't so good and they want to try again, then they can hit this try again button. And as I said, it would immediately generate a new sight reading exercise. It would reset the countdown timer, and then it would record them again. And let's say that they run out of time. They've tried a bunch of times. They need to exit. They can exit. But I think it was great. We did a great job. We're going to hit submit. Make sure that we want to submit. Yes, we do. And now we've submitted it. And you'll see up here the student would see, congratulations, you've successfully completed week 1 sight reading. One thing I did want to point out, since I'm here on the dashboard and I'm seeing this over here, currently, as of this date, Wednesday, August 26th, taking an assignment on a mobile device, okay, tablets and smartphones, is not possible, okay, because we can't record through Flash on a mobile device. But you'll see that we do have an iPad and iPhone app coming very soon. It will be out very soon. We're hoping mid-September is kind of the release date, the target release date on that. Very exciting. It's come along. Once that's out, those students who have iPads and iPhones and iPods even will be able to take assignments on those devices. For Android folks, they won't be able to take assignments just yet, although we do have a few tricks up our sleeve for them. Hopefully to use different recording technology, HTML5 instead of Flash, for any of you techies out there that may know what that means, and they can do that through the Chrome browser on Android. Not yet, but that's the goal, is to make that happen. So I just wanted to point that out there. Currently, assignments can't take on mobile devices, but will be able to. Okay, so after the students have taken their assignment, we can then grade it. So we can come over here. These are some past assignments that some of my students all my kids have taken, actually. So I can, if it needed to be graded, it would say grade over here. And then, again, we get to see the music that the student had. We can listen to their recording down here, and then we can give a grade, and we can leave feedback. And all of this is shared on the students' accounts, on the students' account. So they can, on their dashboard, then instead of saying launch assignment, it would say review, and they can see they would see a page that looks very similar to this, except they couldn't edit their grade and feedback. And they would see your grade and your feedback as well. The teacher and the student can also download the recordings that are made. So you can sort of create a digital portfolio over time if you'd like. But we also store all of it. None of the data or the assignments is deleted unless you delete it. So it's kept forever on the teacher's account and the student's account. Speaking of that, let me speak, let me speak briefly about, for those of you that have had lots of student accounts this year or this past year, something that we just did is the ability to archive a class. So let's say you can see right now I only have 5 assignments, but some of you may have had lots and lots of assignments last year, maybe 20, 30, 40, 50, maybe 100, I don't know. And you may have, this screen just filled up with assignments, and you don't necessarily want to add on to that. So what you can do is you can archive a class, and it will sort of just put everything off to the side. You'll still be able to access it and view it, but it won't be on your main dashboard. So if I wanted to come here and archive my class, what I would do is I would pick on the class that I wanted to archive. Let's say I want to archive the one I just created. I would click view, and then right up here there's an archive button, and I can click that. And I'll say, are you sure you want to archive the class? I'll say, yes, I do. And then when I go back to my dashboard, I won't, if you remember, there was one assignment that I created. That assignment is now gone, so I don't see that anymore. But I can come over here. We have the Archive Classes tab, and I can see any classes that I had archived and still see those assignments. It would archive it for the students as well. So if the students wanted to see any of those past assignments, it would need to be unarchived for them. All right, well, thank you all again, especially for sticking through here to the end. And again, if you have any other questions, feel free to email us or give us a call.